Yeah. It's been 4 years of pain, 4 years of noise, 4 years listening to Michigan brag like they invented football. But Saturday's the reckoning. Ohio versus that team up north. Ryan Day, this is your moment. Let's go. Hey. We hate Michigan, say it loud, say it proud. They've been cheating all along, now we're taking back the crown. We hate Michigan, tell the Wolverines beware. This is Redemption Saturday, Buckeyes everywhere. We hate Michigan, say it loud, say it proud. They've been cheating all along, now we're taking back the crown. We hate Michigan, tell the Wolverines beware. This is Redemption Saturday, Buckeyes everywhere. Welcome to Michigan, the land of gray and lies, where the lakes are nice, but the football alibis are bigger than the big house, louder than the crowd, acting like they're royalty, delusional and proud. Call them Walmart Wolverines, rocking cheap maize tees, living in denial like it's some kind of disease. Talking about tradition, bro, you barely got a history that wasn't wiped away by scandal, shame, and mystery. Sharon Moore at the helm like he's leading some revival, but all he really does is cry on TV for survival. Bet on us, he says, bet on what? Your wins got more red flags than an officiating cut. You brag about grit, toughness, and fight, but remove the stolen signals and you barely get it right. 4 wins in a row, yeah, we heard it, you're tough, but you need a cheat codes just to keep up. We hate Michigan, say it loud, say it proud. They've been cheating all along, now we're taking back the crown. We hate Michigan, tell the Wolverines beware. This is Redemption Saturday, Buckeyes everywhere. Oh, here we go, let's talk scandal time. The greatest heist ever pulled on the sideline. Kinda stallions playing Waldo in disguise, sneaking around the country with binocular eyes. Bought tickets everywhere, like Oprah with wealth. You get a signal, yo, I stole that myself. Victory by theft, man, what a legacy. I guess champions are built on espionage and jealousy. And y'all fans said we didn't need it, no way. But funny how the titles disappeared after they took it away. You got rings that sparkle, banners that shine, but when they strip those, just know that karma's divine. Ryan Day caught the heat like he's the bad guy. Nah, he just wants justice, and justice don't lie. This year, no excuses, no headphones tap. It's just Buckeyes in your face, helmet to cap. We hate Michigan, say it loud, say it proud. They've been cheating all along, now we're taking back the crown. We hate Michigan, tell the Wolverines beware. This is Redemption Saturday, Buckeyes everywhere. Now let's switch gears. Ryan Day, this is your fight, the biggest moment of your coaching life. 4 years burning, pressure in your eyes. Every headline saying he can't beat those guys. Critics in the rafters, fans losing their mind. But Saturday offers what you waited to find. You built a squad stronger than Ann Arbor denial, hungry like a rivalry that's been boiling a while. Julie saying with the swag, backfield with the burst, defense with a hit stick, sending Michigan to church. Days ready now, blade sharp and locked in. This ain't just a game, it's a cleansing of sin. Beat Sharon Moore in his blue and yellow pack, put them back in their place, send the Wolverines back. We hate Michigan, say it loud, say it proud. They've been cheating all along, now we're taking back the crown. We hate Michigan, tell the Wolverines beware. This is Redemption Saturday, Buckeyes everywhere. 4 years of torment, 4 years of shame, but now the Buckeyes reclaim the game. 4 years of cheaters cashing their luck, but Saturday's coming and we've had enough. We hate Michigan, say it loud, say it proud. No more cheating, no more lies, we're taking back the crown. We hate Michigan, tell the Wolverines beware. This is Redemption Saturday, Buckeyes everywhere. No cheating this year, no binocular brigade, no fake tears, from more about games God made. Just helmets colliding, tradition intact. A team that earned wins versus a team that had. The shoe is rumbling, Buckeye Nation's alive. We waited far too long for this vibe to arrive. Maize in the crosshairs, scarlet in the air. The sound of Ohio, it's a Wolver scare. Your run game, stop. Your quarterback drop. Your whole fan base singing, man, when will the bleeding stop? Not today, not here. This is payback land, where legends rise up and the weak can't stand. 4 years of torment, 4 years of shame, but now the Buckeyes reclaim the game. 4 years of cheaters cashing their luck, but Saturday's coming and we've had enough. We hate Michigan, say it loud, say it proud. No more cheating, no more lies, we're taking back the crown. We hate Michigan, tell the Wolverines beware. This is Redemption Saturday, Buckeyes everywhere. Sharon Moore, tell Ann Arbor to brace itself. The Buckeyes are coming, and this time we're bringing truth with us.
Already Welcome back to another Ryan Day press conference. OHIO podcast. I sound different. Do I sound all right? Is it just because of my headphones are over top of my beanie? Says I'm good. I don't know. We don't know. Let me know, Chad, if I sound all right to you guys tonight. Sounds a little bit different to me. Hey, shout out to Farah. Thank you for being our newest member over on our Patreon channel. Good to see you in the chat. We're so thankful that you found the value in what we offer here at the OHIO podcast and you wanted to invest in us. And we hope you enjoy all the extra content that you're going to be getting over there at Patreon. It's the coolest place to hang out. I think you all are going to absolutely love it. Yes, thank you so much. And thank you, Larry. Yeah, please, everybody, smash that like button this morning. Sounds like you guys say I'm A-okay on the sound. Okay, good. All right. Obi said we don't give a darn about the whole state of Michigan. That's right. It is Hate Week. Hope you enjoyed that little song right there before we get started this morning. So here's the question I want to hear from all of you. And we are waiting, and they are locked and loaded and ready to go over at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center for Ryan Day's press conference. So at any minute, he'll step up to the mic. We will go right to it. Audio only here. We don't have a feed there yet. Hopefully next year we will. That's kind of what we're hoping we're working towards. But hopefully this will suffice everybody. Here's the game plan. If you've never been here before, we listen into Ryan Day's press conference. I push pause. We talk about what he's talking about. We push play. We go on. Takes about an hour to get through his 30-minute press conference. He might take a few more minutes today, maybe a few extra questions, since this is Hate Week. Obviously, we're gonna learn about Jeremiah Smith. He's gonna get asked about Carnell Tate. He's gonna give the same answer he's given about Carnell Tate, that he's day to day. Just expect that. We're gonna get asked. He's probably gonna get asked about Chip Kelly, and he's not gonna say anything. Okay, but we're gonna get asked about that. And other than that, man, this is where we're at, guys. So, what other questions would you all like to see asked? One of the things that I'm hoping to do is, if and when we do get credentialed one day, we've talked about the possibility of maybe becoming a part of the beat at the OHIO podcast. If we were to do that, one of the things I want to do is I want to interact with the readers and the listeners, the watchers, in this case, and I want to know, how can we ask to get the information you all want, right? That's the whole point of media, isn't it? I mean, it used to be. Now it's not, but it used to be anyways. And, there's certain ways that you can ask questions to maybe get closer to the answer that you're looking for, I guess is the best way to put it. Other than just coming right out and asking it. Sometimes just coming right out and asking it's the way to go. Most of the time it is not. Ryan Day is very good at being very guarded and giving answers without really saying anything at all. Jim Tressel was the best at it, absolutely. Urban Meyer was much more forthcoming with the media on questions. But anyways, one of the things we would love to do is to get that, and I plan on having a whiteboard one day, a big whiteboard with all the topics and questions that we can present. I think a lot of these reporters go in there. They're very lazy, by the way. I used to work in media when I was much younger, right out of high school. I worked in sports media, and a lot of sports media people are incredibly lazy. And so they don't even have questions written down. It's like you should have at least a notebook of about 100 questions that you can go to. The worst thing you can do in the media is say, well, I was going to ask you the same thing he just did. You mean to tell me you only had one question that you were going to ask this guy? You only get one opportunity to ask Ryan Day a question? Come on. I mean, you do your job better than that, right? Come on. Let's see here. Obi says, I would like to know if he has, here we go. We're going right to it. Sorry, guys. Here we go.
Yeah, just that they're doing everything they can to play in the game. We'll see how today goes, but they're working really, really hard to get back on the field.
Talk about the topic of trying to play loose in big games. Is that easier said than done? Like you guys came out against Oregon last year, felt like, in the Rose Bowl, just played loose. Is that easier said than done in big games?
Yeah, I think it comes down to your confidence and your preparation, and that's what we have to focus on. And it's easy to start to get distracted. At the end of the day, like the more prepared you are, then the more confident you go into games, and that's something that we focused all season on and prepared each week the same way and focused on the things that we have to make sure we master in order to win this game. So yeah, I mean it's important to go in with confidence, and a big part of that is how you prepare. It's like when you go into a test and you know what the answers are, you come in and you walk in like and that's just the way it is in any game, and it includes this one.
I know there's obviously a lot of discussion around the injury stuff, but one of the guys who's been in and out of the lineup with over the last month is Lorenzo Styles Jr., and he left the game on Saturday with the injury. What does it mean when he's out there for you guys defensively, and how confident are you that Bryce West, if needed, can provide the same kind of impact?
Yeah, well, Lorenzo is somebody who has played a lot of football now, and I think when he made the transition from wide receiver to defense, started at corner and then moved into nickel. He's a guy who is a student of the game, works hard, has a great mindset, lives a life of discipline, and you're seeing him play his best football now. And when he's out there, he makes an impact on our defense, communicates well, covers well, can tackle. And so we've worked hard to build depth at all positions. And that's not the first time that we've had to go and finish a game without Lorenzo. So if that were to come up again, we're confident that when we put the guys in the game, we have the right personnel to get the job done.
Right. Maybe the timing doesn't make sense right now. But if Chip wanted to come back, or if you had an opportunity to get him in the building to help, how would that work? And is that even a remote possibility if you're not even thinking about it right now?
Yeah, I would say not thinking about that right now. Just too much going on. I do think right now, we have great chemistry, but we got to be on our game as a coaching staff this week. We got to be clean. We got to be great with our meetings. We got to be great on the field, and allow the guys to play really, really fast. So, all of that has been working up to this moment here. So that's not something I thought about, and right now we're gonna stick with what we got.
Okay, there we go. There's the Chip Kelly question. So I don't believe for 1 second he hasn't spoke to Chip, or at least in text. Okay, but and he said that all with a smile on his face. By the way, he loves that man. I think he's telling the truth. Like, listen, Chip's not going to be here this week, all right? But that doesn't mean that the conversation won't be had for Chip to be here in a role like a QC, like an offensive analyst type of role moving forward down the road. But no, they're completely locked in and focused this week on two things: beating Michigan, wrapping up recruiting. Early signing period is on Wednesday, so. I don't think obviously Chip's not there now, nor do I believe Chip's going to be there this week, nor did I think he was going to be there this week. I looked at it as possibly a conversation might be had. He comes in for the playoff run type of thing. We'll see. But maybe not. Maybe, but he said that with a big smile on his face. I hope you all caught that.
Follow up real quick. Do you have an update on Lorenzo? Do you expect him to play on Saturday?
He's going to practice today, but I don't have an update now.
Last year, you've been asked a lot about the meeting that happened after the game and before the playoff. That obviously fueled the run that you guys had in the postseason, but how much have those lessons stuck with you throughout this year? And, is that something you think about as you go into the game, some of the stuff that was said after the game last year?
Well, every season is different, and every game is different. And you use your past experiences to do everything you can to put your team in a position to be successful. That's really what it comes down to. And so every year you learn, you grow. This is a different team. This is a different opponent in terms of their personnel. And so we're going to do everything we can to win this game and focus on that, because what's coming tomorrow or what's coming on Saturday. It doesn't matter. What matters is right now, like having a great Tuesday. But what's happened in the past doesn't matter either. It doesn't. You can learn from it, but like let's just have a great Tuesday and prepare the best we can to go win this game on Saturday. And that's where the focus has to be, and we can't let anything else distract us.
Do y'all like that approach? He's incredibly focused on the moment. It's another way of saying we are not going to get caught looking ahead to things we can't control. We are just completely 100% focused on this moment. Now, don't let that fool you. They're looking at the forecast. They're thinking, how could that play into this game? They're looking at the players and the injuries and things that they have going on here with Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate. You've got on the outside there on defense in the nickel slot. You got Styles, right? So Alonzo Styles Jr. They're going to be looking at all of those things when formulating this game plan. Okay, so I don't think the whole we're just completely focused on this practice and that's all that matters and we're not worried about those things. That's not what he entirely means there, but the approach is basically like we're not going to create the extra hoopla around the game. Okay, so I'll be curious to find out if they paint their helmets or tape their helmets up like Michigan on the practice guys. I'll be interested to find out if they're doing anything like that we've done in the past, or is Ryan Day just completely like, I'm going to ignore all of that because it hasn't worked for me before, and the approach I'm going with now is complete 100% focus on who we are, what we do, and how we're going to approach the game on Saturday. What do y'all think about that? It's maybe a little bit different. Obi says, yeah, that's a good approach, but you need to execute and win Saturday against TTUN. Losing the game against them may break this team. Very well could be, Obi. I think you're right. It is a little bit of a strategic look at it. Obviously there's two schools of thought here. We're just going to go over the top with everything, or we treat it just like any other game. To me, it looks like Ryan Day is leaning more towards I'm treating this like any other game with the understanding that I know it's not, which sounds very similar to me, in all honesty, to what John Cooper did. John Cooper treated it very much like any other game, where Jim Tressel was like, it's all about the game. Urban Meyer was like, we're spinning. And don't get me wrong, I know Ryan Day, they talk about Michigan during the season. I know the players are doing it and everything. But Ryan Day's not going to show all his cards either. Okay, let's be honest here. All right. He's not going to come in, pound the table, and be like, we hate Michigan. Play Eric's song before I come into the press conference like I did. Let's see what y'all saying in the chat. Ed says he just said not. About Chip Kelly, you mean? Yeah, I think that's what you're alluding to. Everybody but the coaches and players are overthinking this, says King James. Probably. I don't know. I've talked to a lot of former players. This week is different, dude. The approach is a little different. Yeah. So I think the coaches are too. Ryan Day's no dummy. He knows what's on the line here. Middletown Buck, 1971. Good to see you. No mercy. Pedal to the metal and don't let up. Obi says Day might be trying a different approach, assuming his mindset has been different. Maybe. Interesting. All right, let's get back to press conference. Because Cooper's a part of who we are, Mika. That's why. He is every bit, and his name comes up in this week every year because of his inability to win this game. And Ryan Day's 1-4. Let's call it like it is. Whether you want to say he's not because of the cheating or things, listen, record books don't lie, man. It's time to get that win. Let's go.
Brian, when you talk about trying to keep the same routine and the mindset the same, I mean, it still Michigan, obviously, and there's the higher emotions for these guys. What's the message like for the players? I mean, on one hand, you want to keep things normal, but you also probably want to lean into that emotion for them, or maybe you don't want to.
No, I mean, you have to play with emotion, but you can't let it play with you, and you have to learn to use it as nitrous, not as a primary fuel source. And I think that's where, our guys have to continue to just focus on the process of how they prepare for games. And, they're going to have enough emotion when they get into the game. We don't need to incite any more of that during the week. They know how important this is. They know that this is our number one goal every year to win this game. So that'll be our focus. And like you said, I mean, you start to get, over emotional, then you can start getting distracted and get yourself out of whack and not do your job. So let's just focus on each individual guy, making sure that at the end of the day, they've graded out a champion and that their positions have graded out a champion.
Coach Scott, they're banged up a little bit too with some things. What do you see when you see Michigan?
Well, talent all over the field. It starts on offense with the quarterback. He's a dangerous player. The running back, Marshall, is a very good player as well. Runs downhill. He's physical. Offensive line and tight ends are good. Marsh and Colley are very good as well. So a talent. On defense, same thing. You see, Moore and Barham off the edge. These guys are two of the best pass rushers in the country. And certainly, in the back end, they've created a lot of turnovers. So special teams is very good. I mean, again, what you'd expect in this type of a team, talent in all three phases, well coached. And so, yeah, we got to make sure that we're preparing at a high level this week and be at our best.
Two first-year starting quarterbacks will face off in this game. What are the priorities for Julian?
To continue to do what he's done and, lead the team to a victory. That's it at the end of the day. And what does that look like? It depends on how the game plays out. But he's got to do his job, make great decisions, and ultimately, be the guy that leads the team to victory. And that's the number one goal. The rest of it, is gravy. So, he's got to do as good a job as anybody in the building this week. I'll get out in front of it. He's got to communicate, handle the environment and what comes with it. He's shown composure this year, but again, now he's got to be at his best.
Yeah, Ryan, of all the ways you could describe this week, is it fun to be the head coach at Ohio State this week?
Like I say, fun is kicking ass, and that's what we want to do on Saturday. So we're preparing to do that, and that's it. Like, there's nothing funny about this at all. But the fun part is winning. So we'll save the fun for being in the locker room and celebrating after the game. But the preparation is like, that's what you love. You love the competitive part of this and everything that comes with it. And our guys came in Sunday, came in here yesterday, got work on their own, and even guys in the building today. I mean, they got a good bounce in their step, and they look forward to this week.
There we go. There's his quote for the season. He said it twice now. Fun is kicking ass. We'll celebrate in the locker room. That's the closest thing you're going to get to bulletin board material right there. That's the closest thing you're going to get. Who was it that asked, have we had any bulletin board material yet this week? Jeffrey, have we heard any bulletin board material this week? Other than from the fans, that right there was the closest thing you're going to get. That is Ryan Day with a little bit of a killer attitude. Yeah, I like that. That was confident. That's what coaches say to players in a locker room that they normally wouldn't say in public. I mean, that's the closest thing you're going to get to him saying, we're going up to Ann Arbor to kick their butts. That right there. That was an awesome quote. I love it, man. Yeah, that was, yeah, Obi liked that too. Yeah, that right there is the closest thing you're going to get to bulletin board material, guys, from Ryan Day.
Just a little bit more, Julian. Obviously, you were always going to start into your season with two pretty big matchups, and there was a way you guys approached things with Julian in week one. Even you said that maybe in hindsight you could have given him more, but you did that with a purpose. It's 12 games later, and your quarterbacks haven't necessarily been at their best in this game. What do you guys do with him? What does he do? Are you confident that you're going to get the best out of your quarterback in a game like this?
Just win. Like, that's it. You know, just lead the team to victory, whatever that looks like, and however that is, and that's the number one goal. So these guys are going to prepare all week, and we're going to put together a great game plan for them to be successful, and that's it. And they got to go put it on the field, and but it's not just the quarterback; it's everybody involved. You know, and that's what we all need to understand. I think sometimes when we look back, we want to point the finger at one thing or another, but it's everybody, and that's why. When we play in matchup games like this, it can come down to one play. So everybody in the entire building has got to be on point this week, and that's special teams, and that's on offense and defense, and everybody involved with it. So certainly the quarterback gets a lot of the attention, but we need everybody.
Wide receivers outside of Jeremiah and Carnell, it doesn't seem like you guys have gotten the production that you would want out of those guys. Do you feel like there's anything that's maybe kind of held those other wide receivers back?
Well, I mean, I think they're getting more opportunity in games, and when they do, you're seeing some improvement there, and so this is great for them, and this is the challenge. This time of year, last year it was with the offensive line, and this year now it's with wide receivers. So this is where you get tested, and this is what coaching's all about, and making sure that guys are stepping up to do their job when it matters the most. And so, again, great opportunity for them now that they've played some games here. They played some conference games. They got to continue to grow and step up this week.
To clarify, you said with Jeremiah and Carnell, they're working hard and they can. Do you expect they'll be able to practice, or what's your expectation for them going through this week? And how much do you need to see them?
I think that's probably something for the medical staff to figure. And when they give us the thumbs up, we'll go. But they'll be getting physical reps and mental reps all week in preparation. These guys have played a lot of football, so in the end, we'll look to the medical staff to give us the thumbs up or not. But they're going to do everything they can to get on that field.
Right, I think Will Kasmarik's only played like 19 snaps or something like that the last 2 weeks. One, is he okay? And then two, what have you made of sort of like the evolution of your multi-tight end packages? You talk sort of mid-season about figuring out what guys do best and maybe what they don't do best. Where do you think you are with that?
Yeah, no, Will's doing great, and he's excited about this week. I think we built some depth there, which is what we kind of wanted to do here the last couple of weeks, give these guys a chance, and it's given us some more versatility in what we do, and that's important. I think it's important now more than ever when you're dealing with different personnel groupings and what these guys can do, and when you look at them, their versatility is critical. And so, I think when you look at them, they all can do things well. I guess there's some things that each guy does a little bit better than other, but there's not really anything that like we'd take them off the field for or anything like that. So, Keenan's done a nice job of building camaraderie in that room and production.
Ryan, obviously we understand your focus on routine this week. Is there anything that would be said or a little video clip shown or something that would be different this week, or is it really?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, because there's a difference of like the preparation, the routine, and then like the other stuff that maybe slips in.
Yeah. No, I mean, certainly you have to know your opponent, and you got to know what comes with it. But we're also not going to overdo it. So, there'll be a lot of things shown this week. So, and we'll just, the motivation's already there, and again, we need to make sure we stay focused.
Okay. And then there's been a lot of the way your defense has played this year. What does a great defense mean in a game like this in late November, in a tough game that's the most physical game of the year? How prepared do you think your defense is for this game?
Well, I think, when you watch the way we've played this season, it's, again, been in preparation for this time of year and in this game. And so, you go off of what you've seen, and it's important that we put a good plan together, that these guys can play fast on the field and understand situational football, try to take away what they do best, and just play great defense. And, in a game like this, field position becomes critical. Everything becomes critical. So, I know that these guys are already in here working really hard on that game plan, and, we need to have a great Tuesday practice. But it gives everybody confidence, when you have a defense that's playing well.
Yeah, Ryan, I think this is your 7th one of these, 6th as head coach. What's the biggest challenge about this rivalry as a coach and then personally?
I just think it's probably, just making sure that, you're keeping everybody locked in and focused on doing their job. I know, boy, that sounds really basic and bizarre, but there's obviously a lot that comes with this. This game means a lot to a lot of people. Nobody more than the people in this building, but I think that's where, you have to make sure that you're compartmentalizing all that and doing, what you need to do to make sure you're ready to go play in the game and putting your guys in a situation to be successful. And then just getting rid of all the distractions and getting with your guys and getting ready to go play a game. And that's really it. I think, the rest of it is what you do all season long. I don't think you'd all of a sudden just get yourself up and ready to play in this game. It's a preparation week after week after week after week to be at our best for this one right here. And so here we go. All the foundation's been set. It's time to go put it to work.
So that's a really interesting topic. It was an interesting question. I didn't like how he started the question, but he got to the gist of his question. And then Ryan Day brought out a pretty good answer for that question that reminded me of a conversation I had a year ago with my cousin Ryan Miller. So I was, as an Ohio State fan, at the lowest point I have ever been as a Buckeye fan walking out of the shoe last year. To the point that I was ready to finally say maybe it's time to move on from Ryan Day. As you all recall, my co-host Chris, much to his denial, wanted him fired. Corey and I settled on let's give him the rest of the playoff and see what happens. Thankfully, we won. But I was really, really distraught. Yeah, there he is. Speaking of Chris, right, Chris? You never wanted Ryan Day fired at any point last year, right, buddy? So Chris and I go to 2nd and 7. We had a big book drive, and we dropped off all these books at 2nd and 7. Ryan sits down in a conference room with us for an hour-long conversation. Former football player, well connected to the program, and us fans. And he said something very interesting to Chris and I. And he said, he got offended. He actually got offended at one of my questions. And he said, yeah, he scolded us. He did. He absolutely scolded Chris and I like we were little kids. And he laid it out to me. He goes, this game means more to us players who play in the game, and those coaches don't ever say it doesn't mean as much to you, to us as it does to you. He was offended by that. And I think that's an easy cop-out for us to say as fans in a moment of frustration is they wanted it more than we did, and I just seemed like the players didn't want it more than us, right? And Ryan Day just said it. He alluded to it. This game means more to the people in this building. Don't question that as fans, basically, is what Ryan Day is saying there. You don't have to wonder, do they really want this game? Does this game really care as much to them as it does to us? He's laying that. Listen, you can lay that to rest, put it aside. This game means everything to those people in this building. The thing about it is, up in Ann Arbor, it means a lot to them too. That's what makes this rivalry so great, is it's not just one-sided when it comes to how much these teams want to beat each other, which is where the respect came from. Now, the argument a lot of us has made is that respect has been trampled over by Jim Harbaugh, Connor Stalions, and what they've done by cheating. And I agree to that. But it feels like some of that is coming back a little bit at a time, and it can start with Ohio State going up there. And like he said, it'll be fun because kicking ass is fun, right? So, interesting little nugget there. Interesting little nugget. Let's not doubt Ryan Day, this coaching staff. these players. They definitely want to win this football game, okay? I know like that's just an easy thing to do when you're all up in your emotions at the time. Yeah, Jeff says I don't blame Chris. He's passionate. As a matter of fact, I let him change my emotions about it and others. King James to New York City, a lot of people wanted him fired, but I didn't. My whole thought process was, who exactly can we hire that's better? Yeah, it's a good question now. At the time, though, man, well, there was so much frustration. And I want to see that frustration let out on the field and just watch this team kick some butt, man. I need it. I need it like I need oxygen, okay? No rivalry without now just pure hatred. I love how some of you are admitting it in the chat, man. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. There's a wide range of emotions after that game from people. All right, let's get back to it. Great answer though by Ryan Day.
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Back in the day, Woody and Bo thought spies were in the building. It was crazy. How much does the paranoia ramp up? How paranoid do you guys get that something's happening?
I mean, you know, I guess this week what you try to do is you just try to bring everybody a little bit closer, a little bit tighter. You know, it's just kind of what happens when you're playing this week. And we'll do the same thing, you know, when we head up there. You know, it's kind of the way it is, I guess, maybe because Thanksgiving week and everything like that, we all just get a little bit closer and batten down all the hatches.
Ryan, from 2019, when you did this for the first time as a head coach to now, what lessons have you learned, maybe on the field, maybe off the field, preparation? Obviously, you're doing things differently this week. Like, what has changed from that first time being the head coach in this game to how you do it?
Yeah, I think when you know, each year is probably a different story when you start it from beginning to end and you know, what transpired during that game. And then, you know, I think for me, it's just continually stepping back and looking, all right, so how do we get ourselves to that point during the season? And then how do we perform during the game? And clearly the last 4 years, it hasn't been good enough. We've lost the game. So you have to be critical and figure out, okay, what needs to be better? So, you know, there's certain things schematically, there's certain things during the season that you feel like you have to prepare for to be ready and have things ready to go for this game. And then there's also just a mindset going into the game that you have to make sure you're ready for.
Okay, that's another great answer. It's very similar to the question that you all asked. What question would you ask if you got one? I would say, hey, Ryan, what would today's Ryan Day go back and tell Ryan Day 6 years ago about this game? Very similar question. Didn't ask it necessarily the way I would, but a good question nonetheless. And he said the one thing he kept saying, hey, go back and you look at what you did, you reevaluate. Ryan Day, I've been thinking a lot about this, by the way. Ryan Day is a very critical evaluator. Very. I think it's one of the reasons why, for the longest time, we said Ryan Day always learned from his mistakes. He wouldn't make the same mistake twice, it seemed like, especially early on. And it's because I think by nature, he's a very critical evaluator. Typically, people who are like that are difficult to work with because they're very critical in what you do. And none of us like to be called out on the carpet when we're not reaching our potential or goal. But it's all, at the end of the day, it's all about maximizing everything and everybody's potential, right? It's no different in business, in the workplace. Even if you're working in a factory, right? You have to maximize everybody's potential on the assembly line to get, your piece rate up or whatever. Ryan Day is so good at that. But it seems like the one blind spot maybe that there is when it comes to being critical and evaluating himself has been his stubbornness at times when it comes to this game. So let's see if maybe he's learned from that and maybe get past that a little bit when it comes to Saturday. I don't know, just something that came to my mind as I was hearing him talk there. So hopefully, Obi, that's a great point. That's interesting. And remember how devastated he he was, how it turned out last year. Yeah, he stood there on the field while the players were fighting on the 50-yard line over a stupid M flag. He stood there with just this dumbfounded look on his face. He was stunned. He was absolutely stunned. I think he obviously did a massive amount of self-evaluation from that period until when Tennessee walked into the shoe, along with the well-known, heart-to-heart he had with the players and what was going on with that. So all of that being said, here we are 1 year later now. We're here. We've all been waiting for this for 360 plus days. What has he learned? We're about to find out. Let me read one more comment. Ryan Day's championship beard, he would know since he's on the coach's face. Something has changed. When has he ever said, we're going to go up there and kick ass? Normally, he's like, whoever runs the ball better will win. You're right. He hasn't said that yet. And he said that how many times last year? There will never be, great comment from Big John. There will never be civility in the rivalry ever again because of the lies told by people like Chris Bayless and Dave Portnoy and the cheating that the athletic department allowed happen. This is our generation's Woody Bowe 10-year war. This is our generation's chapter in the story of the rivalry. In my lifetime, there was the 90s chapter, which was really hard to swallow. Then you had the Jim Tressel chapter, which was jubilant. Then you had the 7-0 chapter with Urban. Right now, Ryan Day's chapter, I think that chapter reads cheating scandal from Michigan to win X amount of games in a row. And so we will, our generation, John, we will hold on to this for the rest of our lives. This will be what we tell our children, our grandchildren about this rivalry is the years that they cheated. We will never let that go, ever. There will be books written, multiple books written about this rivalry, and there will be a chapter about that cheating scandal from here on out. And Michigan fans can deny that, they can ignore it, they can laugh at it, but years and years to come, every Michigan fan from here on out who is unfortunately born into that fandom will have to deal with the fact that they were caught cheating. We've had to deal with tattoos, right? At the end of the Tressel era, we've had to deal with it. They're going to have to deal with that. And I think what they're going to have to deal with is much more than the tattoos. All right, let's get back at it. This has been a great press conference, by the way.
I know you can't look ahead to the game during the season, but how much do you look forward to it this week?
Yeah, well, I think that goes back to what we talked about, the whole idea of chopping wood and carrying water and, knowing that you just can't hustle to, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. You got to play through the year, and there's a lot that goes with it. And it's a building process and a foundation. And, we're finally here. So this is the best part of it. We've been waiting a long time to get back to this week.
Brandon Innes said last week that ever since the Michigan game and probably the meeting and everything that happened afterward, you have a different look in your eye. How do you think that game, that loss, how you handled it, changed you, affected you as a coach, any of that?
I don't know. We're all a sum of our experiences, and you learn from things and you grow from things, and you just try to do everything you can, again, to put your guys in a situation to be successful, and that's it. And we're going to rely on our experiences going into this week. I can't really say. We all grow. We do things well. We have our failures, but you got to grow from them, and that's it. And so this team right here is a different team. They have a great look in their eye. I think that's the most important thing here, and so that's the focus. And again, what has happened in the past really has nothing to do with what's going on right now. And what goes on today is the most important thing. And I know it sounds like a cliche again, and to say it over and over again, but that has to be it. And then we have to go do it in the game, and that's it. We have to feel kicks. We have to make our kicks. We have to take care of the football. All the things that we work on, because if we don't, we put ourselves at risk. And so that's it. Everyone's got to do their job and making sure we're prepared to go.
Ryan, whether it was all the way back with Beanie in 2006 or Chris in 2018 or Garrett in 2019, it seems like freshmen can make a huge impact in this game. What makes you ready to trust a freshman in this game? And do you think that this is a good opportunity for Bo to make an impact in this game?
Oh yeah. We need Bo to play well. We need him to be at our best, at his best, like everybody else. And you just go for what you've seen all year. And we all know that what this game means, but we also have to make sure they understand it's football. And so you have to trust what you've done leading up to this point. That's why we work so hard in preparation and what he's done up to this point in his growth. So, and these are the types of games where legends are born, and so these guys understand that. And I think about Chris Olave as a freshman, that year where he blocked the punt and had 2 touchdowns in that game. Like that, his career just took off from there. Garrett Wilson had a big game that year. Like you said, guys in this game have used this as an opportunity to springboard their career. So, great opportunity for those guys.
Ryan, Josh didn't play on Saturday, but he wasn't on the stats report. I guess what's his stats going into this game? Between him and Gabe, who do you anticipate being in that rotation?
Yeah, we'll see how practice goes this week and see how he looks on the practice field, and then make a decision from there. I think it just depends on how healthy he is, yeah.
If you didn't catch it, that was an update on Josh Padilla. Same thing. See how he looks at practice this week, and we'll reevaluate. I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that that's who they were talking about in case you didn't hear the question.
We so often look at the past in this rivalry the last few years. You talk about the 4 straight losses, but this team, you talk about writing their own story. They really haven't played. There's a lot of young guys going out there playing this rivalry for the first time. Can that be helpful that this is their first opportunity for so many guys?
I think it's a good mix of guys that were here last year and some guys who are fresh to the party. So it's a different group. It's a different dynamic. They all know how important it is. We have a great mix. Our whole foundation is built off of guys from Ohio. We can't just recruit Ohio guys. There's just too many great, talented players throughout the country. But our foundation is from Ohio, and those guys grew up seeing the rivalry, knowing the rivalry, and then obviously when we recruit, everybody into the program, whether it's a player or a coach, they understand what this rivalry means. So they all know, they get it. But for some of these guys, yeah, it'll be their first time out there, and then the older guys can, kind of show them the way in terms of what it means for preparation and all that. And but I think, when you look at some of these guys and what their perspective was of kind of how last season went, the good, the bad, the ugly, and what came with it, there's a lot to learn from there, and I think these guys will be prepared.
Me? Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Thanks, Mike. By the way, should we, this just throwaway question, should we get our injury updates from the Caleb Downs podcast?
I guess.
Okay, just making sure. How confident are you, talked about this a minute ago, but with Julian, that like Jim Tressel was talking on my show last week about, comes a time when a quarterback's got to make a play, off script, et cetera, do something special like Troy Smith did all through the, how confident are you in what you've seen of him just being able to, at times, wing it and get it done?
Well, I think that's the art of being a quarterback. If you just start winging it, then you're going to put yourself at risk just because you're winging it. Yeah, it comes naturally. You have to make great decisions, and when it's time to compete, you got to compete. But that's understanding time, situation, score, and everything that comes with it. So Julian is going to do a great job preparing this week. He has all the way up to this point, and he's going to work as hard as anybody in the building to make sure he's ready.
But you've seen him emerge in that area, right, over the last several games of being able to take a broken play and make something?
That's right. Yeah, and that's a sign of a good quarterback, when it's the way we drew it up, make the routine plays routinely. And when it's not the way we drew it up, you got to make the coaches right. And Julian's done a good job with that. All right, thanks.
Wow, that was a fast exit, wasn't it? He said, "I'm out of here. See you later." Okay, couple things that I would like to go over here before we call it a show. Lisa says, "Eric, how do you think the 2024 Ohio State versus Michigan game will be remembered? In history, it's going to be the fight on the 50-yard line after the game. for Ohio State fans will remember the run afterwards too. We'll remember the fight, and then we'll remember the run they went on to win the first ever 12-team college football playoff. That's already in history books, and it's been written about in multiple novels already, and will continue to be etched in the stone of books, many more books to be written about what that meant. The meeting that took place between Ryan Day and the players afterwards, that's what's going to be remembered about that game. It won't necessarily be the fact that we lost, it'll be what took place after the game. Maybe it might be, hey, Ohio State, who was ranked so much higher, much better football team on paper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, stubbed their toe at home, but then look what they did. And it was the first time in history, Lisa, that a team that lost that game went on to win something. Had never been done before in the history of the rivalry, where the team that lost the game at the end of the year went on to become a national champion. It's the first time it ever happened. So that, I think, is what that chapter of the history books will look like. Big John says Ross Bjork and the trustees were never going to fire Day because they saw the overwhelming evidence of what Michigan did. That's a very good point, but I also would like to reiterate that Ryan Day's lovely wife was already packing boxes to leave. So the pressure from Buckeye Nation that was being placed on Ryan Day and this team following that loss was very real. And I interact with a lot of fan bases beyond the OHIO podcast, beyond Ohio State, through the College Huddle. And one of the things that makes us incredibly unique is the influence we have as a fan base when the majority voice something. It is unmatched in college football. The closest thing I can equate it to was what Penn State was able to do in the fire James Franklin overwhelming response from their fan base at that time. And so even though Ross Bjork, and I agree with you, Ross Bjork was like, listen, I'm not going to fire this guy. There was a very real possibility that that game against Tennessee, if it wouldn't have gone the way it did and was bad, would have been Ryan Day's last game as head coach at Ohio State. Very, very real possibility. Nina was at her wit's end as a mom from some of the stupid stuff so-called fans were saying and doing to her children, including a school teacher, what a school teacher said to her daughter in the school district they go in, and that is a very real and a very true thing that happened. I know it did. So, yeah, there's some real doozies of people, man. This game means so much to people. I was listening to the radio yesterday, and they were talking about how when Earl Bruce used to be on the radio, and he would say, if you lose this game, you have to walk down back alleys in Columbus, Ohio. Right? The guy went 5-4. He had a winning record against Ohio State, and that's how he was talking about this game. So it's very, very real. Middletown Buck says we need touchdowns, not field goals. Amen to that. Jeffrey says about that game last year, he says, I think it is a turning point in the program that turned us from a lump of coal into the diamond we will be for the next 10 years. Very well could be. Very well. Saying time for you to put together your Heisman highlight reel, says Obi. This would be the game to do it, wouldn't it? Jeff says, you got work to do. Eric, let's keep these pressers short and sweet. Yeah, no doubt, right? Get back to work, Ryan. Ryan Day's championship year. That's a perfect answer to that, Eric. Anytime I think about the game last year, I don't think about the actual 60 minutes of play. It's the trying to plant the flag and then the fight and then playoff. Yeah, guys, I've told this story 100 times. I'm walking out of the stadium. I almost got in a fight with somebody. I haven't been in a fight since high school, a physical fist fight since high school. I was ready to go blows to blows with this drunk idiot. The passion, the emotion that's involved in this game is real. It is so real. It's palpable, man. It's what our heart. It's what makes our heart beat at times, guys, as fans. Let's hear Gus blow a gasket on how outstanding Sand looks in his game, and like, Adam the Heisman, right? Yeah, I don't want to talk about him. RDCB, I'm going to say this well ahead of time. If somehow, some way we lose this game Saturday, leave Ryan Day and his family alone. Don't be out here acting ridiculous towards them. Yeah, here's the thing, guys. People lose their shirts on Saturdays from betting way too much money. And they get drunk and they get angry and they say and do things without thinking about any of the repercussions of it. It's a sad world we live in, sad state of affairs like that. No way. Let's see here. No way Ryan Day will get fired no matter how this game turns out. 100%, Lisa. There's no way. Jeff says, it would have been Eric. You know how I know because I've never ever in a regular season game alone playoff opportunity seen the fans not show up at home. There was a lot of people sold their tickets to Tennessee fans, man. A lot of people. There was a lot of orange there. It was about 60-40 is what I was told. And it's what it looked like on TV too. So Tyler wants to get arrested by the Ann Arbor police, it looks like. Yeah, Jeff, exactly, dude. Yeah, 100%. Not the fans not showing up. Yeah. Okay, I got 3 things I want to talk about, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, everybody, for Ryan Day's press conference for Hate Week. We talked a little bit about it, and I thought this was a really good answer by Ryan Day when it comes to about, hey, what are you going to do that's extra, that's different than what you do from a normal week to week, because this game is different. He said it's finding a good mix. You have to find a good mix. You need to do what you need to do to stay, focused, tight with your fundamentals, but also know that this is different. This is Michigan you're playing, and so you have to find that good mix. I think that's what Ryan Day has been trying to do, is find the good level of just enough difference, but we're still doing everything the same. And so as we went through this interview and as we've went through the thinking of it and talking out loud about it, I think that's where Ryan Day's at in his headspace is I don't want to do too much that's different because I want everything to still be routine for the players, but I also understand that this is different and you have to embrace that difference a little bit. So we have to find a good mix of it. So I thought that was interesting. When asked about, oh, you're welcome, Obi. When asked about the, are you worried about people spying, things like that, things that Woody Hayes would talk about a lot. Ryan Day didn't say, no, we're not worried about it, did he? He did come right out and say, oh, come on. No, that's a funny question. Of course we're not worried about it. But what he said is, we batten down the hatches and we get a little closer. Thought that was an interesting comment. And then he alluded to the fact that since it's Thanksgiving, we're naturally going to get a little bit closer anyways. So I think that there's something to that a little bit that needs to be explored maybe down the road in another press conference, maybe when the season's over, or maybe off the record, if you could get Ryan Day to talk to you off the record and say, you didn't deny the whole spying thing. Are you indeed worried about that? And if so, how so? I know for a fact that They record all of their practice film. Most colleges do, by the way, for evaluation purposes, for development purposes. That practice film is stored on servers. Servers can be hacked. You all know the story, right? There are server breaches every single day, mind you. So you have to be cognizant and aware of that. And I think you have to make sure you have certain things in place to make sure that that doesn't happen. There's a saying out there: if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? The perfect example of that would be our next opponent and what they've done in this decade here. But that being said, it's kind of crazy to think that college football has moved into the era of cyber warfare. But I think we're here and no one talks about it. That might be a really interesting conversation to have with someone down the road. The cyber warfare of college football. Mika, there you go. That is a perfect topic for the Illuminati. I agree with you 100%. In fact, you can have that topic, Mika. That's yours. I'm giving that one to you because that is a perfect topic. Get the tinfoil out that day, man. All right. One final thing I want to bring up. Two more things. Sorry. Asked about Michigan. He mentioned 5 players by name. 3 on offense, 2 on defense. I only caught 1 on defense. He mentioned Underwood, Marshall, and Marsh on offense. That tells you where they're focused at, okay? Defensively. Marshall, he mentioned him first. Marsh, the running back, he mentioned him second. Marsh, the wide receiver, he mentioned him third. And I don't think, whether he realized it or not, I do believe that is the hierarchy of who we need to stop defensively, is those 3 guys. I thought that was interesting. Defensively, he brought up Moore, and I didn't catch the second name. I thought it was the other defensive end, but the defensive line, and then he mentioned the entire defensive backfield by a unit. Didn't go into individual names. They obviously are all over the offensive line on creating the line of scrimmage, winning the line of scrimmage. So McCauley, was that the other name? Thank you, RDCB. Barham, that was it. Barham, yeah, there you go, Tyler. Thank you. So I guess he mentioned 6 names. There you go. Okay. Last topic here. Last thing I want to mention. Julian Sain. Julian was brought up again in this interview, or in this press conference. What does he need to do? What are you looking from him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he said Julian's job is to continue to do what he's been doing and just win. Go get the W, whatever that looks like. So it's not about padding stats. It's not about going out and winning the Heisman. It's about taking care of the football, completing your passes, making sure you're taking care of that football and reading your keys, going through your progressions, and just get the W. So if that means, Julian, you've got to throw the football for 400 yards, buddy, guess what? You need to do it. If you only need to throw it for 150 because we're killing them on the line of scrimmage and you've taken care of the football, and this is going to look more like Texas 2.0 again, or what it was like when we went to Washington and we were taking care of the football and we didn't want to turn the thing over and it was kind of a Manila playbook. If that's the way this thing looks like, then so be it. I think Ryan Day and this offense is prepared for multiple scenarios in this game, depending on the way the game goes. But here's the last thing I'm going to say about that. I hope we take the fight to them offensively. And I think it was David who mentioned it yesterday in his call on the call-in show last night. He would love to see Ohio State go up-tempo. It forces that defense to have to adjust to what you do. It might be something to think about. So I'm not saying that they will or they won't, but I would love to see the offense dictate things in this game as opposed to the Michigan defense trying to dictate what we're doing offensively. I want to be proactive, not reactive in this game. And I know Ryan Day and this coaching staff wants to do that as well. But this game is different, and sometimes it just causes you to get in a slug fight. I don't want that for this team, but if we have to beat them doing that, then so be it, I guess, right? Let's go back to your comments here real fast. RDBC says, I hope they practice outside in some kind of cold weather before they go up there. Every game this year has been in the 50s. It's supposed to be 30 for the high up there. If they do, obviously that will be you have to be cautious with the guys who have injuries practicing in the cold too much. Yeah, that's a tricky one. Let people venting make me join the mob of wanting to fire, but it's crazy. Just go after a man's family. Literally, the game in a game isn't really that important. Yeah, Jeff, it was a mob mentality. It was. Good to see you, Bradley. Nice to see you with us, man. Mika says, let's go. She's ready. Oh my gosh, you ain't kidding, Jeff, having to deal with that fan base for a year. And just, I'm telling you, if we lose Sunday night and that whole week of shows after that, you are bombarded by them on YouTube. They have not been in our chat at all this week. Has anybody else noticed that? They've been nowhere to be found in our chat. I think they're worried. I think they're scared. Usually they are in our chat talking trash, making Tyler block them and kick them out. RDBC Michigan's not built from behind. They need to get up a couple of scores and put the pressure on them. Underwood, I think, would fold. Yeah, we want to take it to them. Get a lead, right? Force Michigan out of their comfort zone, says T. They're stubborn. They don't want to get out of their comfort zone. You forced them to. Yes, absolutely. Middletown agrees. Maybe we do need to go up a little bit, up tempo a little bit. He slowed down the offense on purpose, though, this year. He slowed it down on purpose, and so far, it's been beneficial to the tune of 11-0. We'll see if all of a sudden he changes his tune a little bit this week. But I'm typically of the thought process, you are who you are by this point of the season. It's potential for snow. Absolutely. It's going to be the coldest game of the year. Mr. Bucknut wants to set up the pass, or wants the pass to set up the run. If we can do it. Yeah, exactly, OB. That's what I took from it as well, that Ryan Day is saying to Julian, whatever is best to get this win, we're gonna play that game. We've won multiple ways this season, so keep that in mind. Like, we can win different ways, so we'll see what they do. All right, I think that's gonna do it for today. I appreciate all of you hanging out with us, man. Don't forget, tonight is on the Buckeye Lounge. Jim Otis will be joining TG and the Strock Star tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern here on YouTube. The legendary Jim Otis will be with them for Hate Week. Also, over on Patreon, if you're a member on Patreon, and if you're not, sign up. You can do it for $1 right now. Over on Patreon, we will be watching the Buckeye basketball game tonight as well. Tips at 6:30. So if you want to hang out with us, watch the basketball game with us, head on over to Patreon at 6:30. It's going to be a busy afternoon for me. I've got 3 interviews. We have our preview we're making. We have all of that good stuff. And then also, don't forget, the Buckeye ladies are moving to Wednesday night. For the holiday, and we'll be live tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern, right here on the OHIO podcast. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate all of you. Have a good rest of your day. Remember, be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH, St. Carmen, Ohio, with all your heart. Y'all know what to do. Go Bucks.